Mr. Chairman, I'm going to support this bill, but reluctantly so. I mean, we should not just extend these or acknowledge these rights for law enforcement officers. Every individual in America who's not a criminal should be afforded these rights. Gun-free zones make people less safe. They just advertise sitting ducks. That's what the Gun-Free School Zone Act does. It was passed in the 90s, and it hasn't made kids safer at all. In fact, it's made them less safe, and it creates this conflicting patchwork of laws where the default situation is that law-abiding citizens are criminals just for getting near a school. So I think this bill actually doesn't go far enough. I've supported legislation, written and introduced legislation to end the Gun-Free School Zone Act, which, by the way, was ruled unconstitutional at one point, and then it was rewritten by Congress and reintroduced. I think it's still unconstitutional. But I've also sponsored legislation, or at least voted for legislation, to get rid of the gun-free zones in national parks. Why should somebody who's visiting land that is owned by the taxpayer give up their constitutional rights just simply to visit a park? Are we making anybody more safe by saying you can't carry a firearm, you can't exercise your God-given right to defend yourself in a national park? It seems ridiculous. It should be the other way around. If this is a national park and the Second Amendment applies nationally, then that is the one place where you shouldn't be prohibited. All places you shouldn't be prohibited, but that is specifically one of the places that the Second Amendment should apply to. And furthermore, we had the 2008 Supreme Court case which was DC versus Heller, that said that the Second Amendment doesn't just apply to the National Guard, for instance, it applies to all Americans. That is what the 2008 Heller decision said. And then in 2010, the McDonald versus Chicago extended that to apply to all the states through the incorporation doctrine. So the Second Amendment is actually a restriction just not on the federal government, but also on the states. They can't infringe on your Second Amendment rights. So, I support the bill, but the problem is, here we are carving out special rights for people that carry a badge, when in fact these are rights that were enshrined, protected, given to us by God, but protected by our founding fathers in the Constitution, a document that we've sworn an oath to defend and uphold. So I will just close by saying I'll support the bill, but we need legislation that goes further to state what is inherent in the Constitution. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman. Gentleman yields back.